What is going on, everybody? It's me, TheVikingWeeb, here from the Bucket Brigade. Now, I have some great news and some more theories to dive into for Monster Hunter Wilds. So, sit back, relax, and let's dive in together here. So I'll go ahead for starters and say yesterday, August 20th, was the last time, supposedly, we're supposed to see anything showcase weapons wise, um, anything like that. On the 21st of August, which is today, they dropped their third and final trailer for the game, giving us a little bit more insight into the story, different monsters, and it has in fact confirmed a few things. Now, I'm a little late to the game here, but I am going to dive into some stuff that we've seen over this past week. Very important things, especially for our Monster Hunter lifetime fans here. So I'm going to run down through the news and I'm going to emphasize what we all want to hear more of. So, for starters, all the trailers are dropped. They promised us 3, we have 3. So, there we go. In that said trailer, we did see a new monster, that of a prior spider-like monster, but this one in particular looks a little bit different. It doesn't look like it does the same thing. It's got some hands. It's a little creepy. It's a little scary, but I love the environment. If you haven't gone and looked at the trailer yet, I will go ahead and link all the trailers down below in the description. So make sure you take a peek at those when you're done here. Additionally, with that monster, the environment, like we got to see a little bit more of the different environments and biomes that we're going to see in this map. Super cool. The cave area, super cool. Like the cave was full of like blood and like almost like a red flower, like grave, if you will. Super cool. The NPCs in game knew of it to be something special, so there's probably going to be wind of that via the story. But that's what we've seen so far from the trailers. With that being said, the devs did play today on YouTube. So I will link that down below as well. Please be sure to check that out. That was really cool. I'm actually hoping that they do drop a demo. Because we all want to get our hands on this, especially with knowing all the good stuff that's in store. I really hope they do drop a demo. Please, Capcom, drop a demo. I think it'd be dope for them to drop a demo. If I keep saying it, I can conjure it into a real thing. Say it with me here. Not right now, though. We'll do that later. So, number 4 for our news. They showed us a little bit more on the focus mode and, like, the type of attacks. It's very similar to the wire bug attacks that we saw in Rise, which is kind of cool. So you can, like, assuming that it's going to be like Rise, because they verbatim said it will be like prior Monster Hunters, which I can only reference the one when it comes to attacks like that, since focus mode is new and it's quite similar to the wire bug capabilities in Rise. It might be, or we might be able to change out those said attacks. Now, what leads me to believe that even more so is in the dev playthrough, the guy basically said that you can carry 2 weapons on you, right? We knew that to be a thing early on. But he said you can carry 2 of the same weapon with a different build for each. So, like, one could be, for instance, he was using Lance, and he said you can have one Lance that's your heavy hitter, it's your counterattack, it's going to be a very fast-paced gameplay for Lance. But you might have another one where, like, you need to be a tank. So that's really cool to be able to change between 2 different loadouts. Now, I don't know if the armor's going to change with it, but we do know for sure both weapons will be able to be changed. So I'm excited to see that. That's a first for us. Very excited for that. So they also showed us you can place and pick up traps. So if you set a pitfall trap and the monster decides to limp out of the area, no longer have you wasted that trap. Go ahead and pick that up. I love that for us. That's good. We needed that. Because I can't tell you how many traps I've lost to not reading the monster's exit strategy well enough. So, That's great. It does re-add it to your inventory as well. You could see it at the bottom of the screen. I believe during the dev playthrough, you can see it get picked up and added. Um, you also can you're able to move around the map and set up what is called a pop-up tent. Now, this is really cool because normally you have to fast travel to a tent in Monster Hunter World or even Rise. You have to go to your camp that is in a select area. A pop-up camp is somewhere that, hey, you might have a base over here, which is where you started, but guess what? You could do this anywhere when you're out of combat. So I like the idea of that. I'm curious to see what will happen if a monster enters that area, if that will affect the pop-up tent, or if it just, as long as you're out of combat, you're good. So I can see this being abused later on, which is fine. I would like to see more, though. They also showed us how the more wounds you inflict on the monster early game will in fact reward you later on. For instance, during the dev playthrough, which once again linked below, during the playthrough, he showed how during the beginning of the hunt, a lot of different wounds that he started and created uh, made it so there were more weak spots on the armor later, or not armor, but on the hide of the monster. I guess in some cases armor. So you're able to attack those as weak spots. So the better you do in the beginning, the more rewarded you will get for weak spots in the end for the hunt. So I can see that becoming kind of like the meta play style. Like, oh, you have to get 3 on this side, I have to get 3 on this side, and then we have to, I can see that being a thing. However, the Monster Hunter community has never been that toxic. In fact, I think this is one of the most loving communities for a game that I've ever been in. Really good people. Really, really good people. But let me move on from sentimental topics. We'll go right into it. So, the map. I wanted to discuss this earlier when I had mentioned it, but I guess one of the big takeaways from World and Rise was they would get lost with how massive the maps are, specifically World. So they made the map super, super in depth. It is now a 3D map that you can rotate and you can hone in on certain spots of the map. It looks really good. I'm going to tell you right now, probably one of the greater maps I've ever seen in a game. You can do searches on the map, and it's huge. It's huge. Really cool, though. Very, very, very needed. It's a quality of life improvement that I actually wasn't expecting, but I'm so happy they did what they did. It looks great. Next up, we have the grapple. Now, we all knew we had the grapple, but the grapple can interact with multiple things. So you can interact with monsters, such as for focus attacks and or just I want to say you could just agitate small monsters. I saw in the dev playthrough they were grappling to small monsters, and it doesn't do anything. It's the same thing as the clutch claw versus like a I don't know, like a small herbivore. Like you're not gonna grapple to it, you know what I mean? And you're not gonna grapple it to you. You just hit it, which is kind of cool. The concept's cool. It's there. It's the same thing from World. I'm happy they didn't completely do away with how the clutch claw interacts with things. So, but it won't be a clutch claw. What we did see though is you can interact with environment as well as consumables. So, like if you're on your little bird, I forget what they called it. It has a name. But if you're on your mount as you're running past like an herb or a bone pile, you can use your grapple to basically grab that stuff on the go. Super cool for people like me who hate having to stop, get off my mount, interact with something 3 times, or hold down the button till I get everything I want. It was nice in Rise where you could hit it once. And even upgrading to where you can still interact with stuff on mount, but having the grapple be able to interact with that stuff now is a game changer. It will definitely shorten the amount of time I spend on the game due to the fact that if you were to add up all that time of how much time I've just had to get off a mount or get into a certain area to wait for my interactions to be done, it would add up to like a few days in game time, I'm sure. that's just how much I've played the Monster Hunter series as a total. But moving forward, you can also interact with the environment. So, like, there's certain traps that are natural in the environment, like whether it be icicles hanging from a ceiling, whether it be a stone structure that you could pull down onto the monster, or just some rubble. You can interact with different things that can affect the hunt itself for your benefit and even sometimes against your benefit. Kind of like the environment itself. So we've seen the weather change as well, right? Super cool, fun fact about the weather: it will adversely affect your hunts. It will also adversely affect the monster you're fighting, depending on the monster you're fighting. If you're fighting I don't know, for shits and gigs, a Diablos in a sandstorm, you are at a disadvantage. He is not. Now, let's say you're fighting Anjanath in a sandstorm. I feel like it's equal disadvantage. You could still make do, he could still make do. Now, fighting an Azurathlos in a sandstorm, I mean, his bread and butter's the sky. You're going to have an advantage over him. Although you're at a disadvantage, he's more at a disadvantage. So, stuff like that. But the dev did say it will adversely affect the hunts and can negatively impact the monsters just as much it negatively impacts you. So that's pretty cool. We also saw that mounting has returned, so you will be able to do mounting damage and mount the monster. He wasn't very specific during the stream today about exactly if there's a certain number of mounting damage you have to hit, or if it's just if you get a mount based on amount of damage done during the hit, the consistency of the hit. There wasn't a very specific term, so I'm hoping it's the same as World, where there's just a certain amount of damage to get that mount again. We also saw with the mounting there is now light and heavy attacks. So instead of stabbing the monster with a hunting knife in their back from like World or Rise, where you just ride the monster like they're a pony, you can now use your weapon to do light attacks or heavy attacks. Which also means I don't think there will be a gauge for how long you can be mounted on the monster. I will say this is all theory. I don't know for sure. But I can see that being... it's based off the amount of stamina you have. So there's no longer a time period or threshold of how much time you have on the back of this monster. It's just, do you have the stamina, and will you hit that damage goal before you run out of stamina? So that's more theory. I'm sorry I did that out of order, but it's very, very, very specific to that. It's just knowledge I don't have. I'm transparent with what I got. So let's move forward again to our last piece of news that we have, which is the challenge/clash that you can have with monsters is with all weapons that have a guard feature. This was stated in the dev stream. He said, anytime you perform a guard against an attacking monster, during that guard, if it's timed perfectly, you can, in fact, clash with the monster. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean with dual blades we can't clash with the monster? No. A guard is considered any attack that nullifies another attack. So a counter can be a guard in this case. For instance, the Greatsword does have a guard feature. However, they've added a counter to the Greatsword. So during your playstyle, or during your playthrough in a hunt with Greatsword, you can do this like backward slash, right? That is your counter. You do that at the perfect time, you are going to get a chance to clash with that monster. That being said, we've noticed other weapons are able to do that as well. You're able to get that, I guess to sum it up, you're able to get that hit as a counter, or a guard in this case. So, that's super cool. That means just about every weapon at some point will have that guard ability, or guard ability via counter. So, let's move on. There's a little bit of news I have left, but this is different from the news I've been giving. This is what monsters have been confirmed. Now, I'm excited about this topic. I'm going to be honest with you. Because I've seen some monsters I've been waiting for a very long time. Like, a very long time. Up first, I'm going to start strong. Congalala. We got to see in the final trailer, or showcase I should say, for weapons with the dual blades, we got to see the Congalala armor. They wouldn't have put that in there if there's no Congalala. I'm sorry to say, Capcom, Congalala's confirmed without even a picture. Thank you. We've been waiting for our king to come back to the jungle. With that being said, if you take a look at all the armor that is in all of the showcases, that confirms a few other monsters. Specifically, Rathian and Rathalos. They're both confirmed. They're flagship monsters. They've been in the game since the very, very beginning. I mean, I didn't have a doubt. I didn't have a doubt that they would not be in the game. Never once. They have to be there. Consistently. And they will be for every Monster Hunter to come. But we'll get to that. Next, we have Rajang. Rajang has made a comeback. After World, they saw how much we loved him. You know, we hated him when we first saw him. But, you know, they saw how much we loved him in World. So, here he is. He's been pretty consistent the past couple games. So, we got Rajang back. And the only sight that we had of Rajang was during what looked like a turf war in one of the trailers. So, the last monster that we have confirmed is the Thor Mangala. Now, this was seen a little bit in the dev playthrough, but I believe we actually got to see him a little bit before. For those of you who don't know who Thor Mangala is, he is like, he's like most of the Mangalas. But instead of a Gore Mangala, he is a Thunder type. So he's pretty much a Desert Thunder type. He's pretty cool. I like him. He's definitely up there for brutality as far as Diablos goes. He just does a lot more. Think Diablos and Kieran had a baby. That's the best way to describe it, truly. Diablos and Kieran had a baby, but Diablos is the stepfather, and the birth father was Gore Mangala. So, like, it's got the Gore Mangala features, it's electric, but it was raised by Diablos. So, like, there you go. That's the best way to describe that monster, in my opinion. Yeah. So, that was the last confirmed monster that we've seen. At least that we know of outside of the regular, what they've already said. I didn't see, based on the dev playthrough, I didn't see any additional weapons. It doesn't look like they're adding a new weapon. They could still surprise us. I'm still hanging tough. I believe they will put a new weapon, a Blast from the Past weapon, in, whether it be in the DLC or maybe closer to the actual drop of Wilds. But I'm standing strong in my theory here. I don't think I need to give up hope yet, but I didn't see one. You could see all the weapons there from World in the same order. So, I mean, that's that. All right, so now we can move into our theory portion. I'm sorry I'm about to go over 20 minutes here. You're going to have to bear with me. I will go fast. So, first off, we're going to see more old monsters. Now, we've already seen some already, but I feel like we're going to see more. And I feel like they're going to be, the higher up you get, the more older monsters we get to see. So this base level of just coming into the world, and this will be like our low rank experience, right? I feel like we'll have to be like whatever's above high rank, whether they go into the master rank again or they venture off into the G rank. I think that tier is where we'll see not only old monsters, but their subspecies as well. So super excited to see that. I still think we'll get Lucretius, Nergigante, and Zinogre because they were the voted top 3 favorites. So I definitely think we're getting them. I also theory Wilds is going to be a sandbox for Capcom's monster ideas. We've seen a lot of new monsters, and I feel like they're going to continue to do that. I feel like they're going to continue to add new stuff, whether it be in future updates, free updates, the partner DLC that Capcom's like known for is putting out that second or the first DLC, which is just basically part 2 of the whole game. We might see it. That's also when we might see the new weapon drop, to be honest with you. But we'll see. But I do think this is the next gen Monster Hunter, and I feel like they're just going to add upon it like they were supposed to with World, but they didn't. But I think this will be the one. I think this will be it. So, all right. Last and not the least at all, I'm going to go through with my rating of the weapons that we've seen so far based on the showcase that we've seen and the dev playthrough. That is it. This is my personal opinion. I will give you a short summary of what I liked in the order that I liked it and why. Super quick. So number 1, Gunlance. I'm not a Gunlance main, but this game makes me want to be a Gunlance main. It looks beautiful. They've reworked the whole weapon. It's going to be the first weapon I pick up and try. 1,000%. They just added so much. They overhauled this weapon. It's so beautiful now. Number 2, dual blades. I've never been a dual blades user in my life. I've tried it a few times in earlier games. I've always hated it because I was never an elemental build. I was always an ailment build. So I was always like para poison. And dual blades was fun, but I wasn't super experienced in making builds, so I was just never good at the game. So I just started hating dual blades. I actually have hated dual blades up until Rise. Rise was the first game I was like, hey, this isn't half bad. All the updates they put into dual blades for being able to move in demon mode, you don't get locked into animations. You're able to switch back and forth easier. And the focus mode attack, the Levi Ackerman, the kickflip off the nose of a monster. If you haven't seen it, go. I'll link the entire Monster Hunter YouTube channel down below. Go watch these videos. These are insane. They need to play better music during some of these focus mode attacks. They're just too beautiful. Number 3 is Greatsword. Mainly because I'm a big heavy weapon user, but Greatsword having a parry ability and being the DPS weapon that it is, look, I am a Berserk Guts fan through and through. I started in 97 when the anime dropped. I love Berserk. Greatsword looks the most like Guts that I have seen yet. I will be playing with that weapon for sure. I just don't know how often based on the first 2 and trying them out. Number 4 for me is Hunting Horn, only because of all the updates. They are being very, very loving to the Hunting Horn fans and community. I'm excited to try this weapon. I've seen a lot of really good things. It's not a complete overhaul, but it looks like they've added some things that I can't take this out of the equation. Hunting Horn, it will remain in the top 5. And I most likely will use it for all multiplayer hunts unless I'm the most experienced or I have the best weapons, in which case I'll have to use whatever my main is at that time. But Hunting Horn looks great. So if you're a Hunting Horn main, you're gonna get a really, really just a beautiful gift from Capcom. So definitely praise them for that. Number 5 is Lance. And I'll tell you why. It's because of the versatility. They made that so you could be a tank or you could be an absolute counter heavy hitting monster. I'm super excited to give Lance a try. It's the best I've ever seen Lance look in any game. I'm just enjoying the idea of the versatility of the poke. So, number 6 is the Switch Axe. I liked the idea of it. I'm currently a Switch Axe main in World right now. I really the only big thing that I love about this weapon is they didn't change anything except they added the focus mode attack to it, which just looks great. It looks like it's just a complete unleash and fury of whether it be the axe or the sword, whatever you got out. It looks great. Number 7 for me is the bow, mainly because they made a tracing arrow. So now you can fire the tracing arrow wherever you want, and you can just shoot. You don't even really got to aim. You can just shoot, and those arrows go there. That's fucking great. Imagine not being have to aim with the bow. Like, you don't have to aim with the bow. You can just shoot for shit. It does blow up after a certain period of time, but that right there is overpowered as fuck. So that's really cool. Super excited to see that. Number 8 is hammer. The only reason I put this at 8 is because of the mobility of the big weapon that it is. Once again, not a lot has changed with it. I'm not super excited about it. It does look kind of cool with the whole grapple system, and the focus mode attacks do look pretty devastating. And I'm pretty sure we still have our Beyblade, so that's cool. Or our spin to win, I should call it. Beyblade's dual blades, my bad. Number 9, we got longsword. I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed. I like the movement. I like that they've changed a few things when it comes to your spirit blade and how you're able to move around. You no longer get stuck in that animation of just moving forward. You can move side to side and backward. So that's kind of cool. I'm just not excited about it. It doesn't pique my fancy like it used to. And I think honestly, it's just all the weebs out there, myself included, but it's all the weebs out there that have made this weapon have a bad rap, I should say. So, I'll move right along though, because once again, I'm not a really big longsword fan right now. Charge Blade. Charge Blade's number 10. I want to move this up to 8. I want to move this up to 8 so bad. And the only thing stopping me is it's still complicated. It's still complicated. I will, in fact, move it up to 8 if this weapon becomes any easier to use. The focus mode attacks look so devastating. I don't know how they can make that weapon look more devastating than it already was, but they did. Your saw mode, you basically turn it on by dragging it into the ground and shoving it into a monster part. It doesn't matter what it is. That is beautiful. And if you have your axe, or I should say your shield, right? If you have your shield charged with the vials, oh my god. You're going to kill the fucker. You're going to saw it in half. That's amazing. I'm so excited to see that. The only reason I have it as 10 is because it's still a complicated weapon. They didn't simplify it more than it already has been. The only truly way to know is to see if these focus mode attacks are simpler to get off. If they are, and just charging the files and putting them where they need to go is the hardest part, this will be an easy 8, maybe even move up to 6. Not even gonna lie. Number 11, bowgun. Bowgun looks the same in every game. And I'll tell you why. It's because they got rid of medium bowgun. I miss medium bowgun. Because light bowgun was trash. And heavy bowgun was just overpowered. But medium bowgun was the perfect balance of both. And I know they got rid of it because it's the perfect balance of both. And you need to, you pick a side. Do you want to be heavy damage or do you want to be just all elemental damage? Like, what do you want? But I liked that middle ground. So yeah, bowgun, I got nothing. It's all right. Insect glaive, I'm putting below that, which is sad because insect glaive also got a lot of work done to it. It looks great. I'm just not an insect glaive fan anymore. A lot of ground combos were added. A lot of aerial combos were added, and it looks like once again, insect glaive will be king of the skies. I'm happy for that. I know my insect glaive fans are as well. The focus mode attacks did increase your bug's ability to move back and forth. I also saw the bug is just naturally faster in general. There's actually a move to like send him out super quick right in front of you and back super fast. Sorry, words are hard. So that's cool. That's real cool. still putting you at 12. And last but not least, actually, I'm sorry, it is last and it is least. Sword and Shield. Uh, it looks the same. Like, there are cool aspects to this, and I think the only cool aspect is like shoving the sword straight down into the monster for one of your focus attacks, and it just does chip damage the whole way through, even if they're blocking. Love that. It's this weapon's been the same since I want to say Freedom Unite. I really do, but I feel like I'm gonna sound like an asshole. Um, yeah, this weapon's been the same for fucking years. It's number 13. It's never been my playstyle. I don't like that quick, versatile playstyle, which is oddly weird because I put dual blades as number 2. Anyway, that's my list. That's all I got. I really hope, I really hope that you guys enjoyed today's episode. Please take care of yourselves out there on this lovely, lovely day. Please check back for more. I will keep you updated. I don't know if we'll be having any more news and theory about Monster Hunter Wilds for a while, but I will be starting another podcast here shortly. And we will go over some stuff the fans have requested. So we will start getting to that. Shout out to everyone that has joined me for the 3 or 4 small episodes I had with news and theory. It's not the end, but it will come to an end because we are less than 6 months out from Monster Hunter Wilds. So, without further ado, I wish you all well, and as always, good night.